I loved that new Superman movie so much. Oh my goodness. It was everything that I wanted to see in a Superman movie. In fact, it's everything I wanted to see in a Superman movie 4 times. And those 4 times means that I've seen Superman in every theatrical option possible. And I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that movie, about what it's done and what my experience was like with it. Every year, there's new superhero movies being released, and every year they're all like, oh, they're based off of comic books, and everyone gets really excited talking about the comic books, but then the comic books don't really do anything with the opportunity. That was not the case with this movie. We got so much stuff happening in the world of comic books to kind of tie into and promote what this movie was. We had 3 waves, or at least I can define it in 3 waves. The first wave, we got to talk about the free comic book day offerings. And from DC for a free comic book day, we got 2 books. I got 2 books and then the variant on the 1 book, which was weird. I didn't realize they did variants on free comic book day, but we got like the all-in special edition book, and this is just to promote what they've been doing with DC Comics recently. It's pretty decent. What was crazy though is that they released a foil variant of it, and I checked. I think this is the only variant of it, but there's a foil variant, and it's very Superman centric, and it was cool. It's cool to see this. Usually these big tie-ins are Batman centric, so nothing against Batman. I promise I don't have anything against Batman. It's just that Superman is my favorite. And, putting Batman in more stuff isn't going to make me like him more. So, it's kind of fun to see our day in the sun a little bit. Tying even more obviously into the movie, we got Superman's Good Guy Gang, which also stars Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner. So, there is no reason that Superman should have to ever hang out with Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner at the same time. Nothing else really has them together like that. There was a little bit of a period in the 90s maybe, but yeah, very clearly meant to tie into the hype of the movie. It's like, oh, you saw the movie? Well, here's something that kind of looks like it, Wave 2 of 4, I said 3 earlier, it's actually 4. Wave 2 of 4 was Superman Day. Superman Day happens every year. It's not new. It's been acknowledged, but usually it's only been, just that. It's just been acknowledged by fans of the character already. There's usually nothing special about it. But this year they decided to make something special out of it. And we got a bunch of comic books from it. We got 4 re-releases that happened on Superman Day. The first 2, we got All-Star Superman #1. We also got For All Seasons #1. Great books. I love For All Seasons a lot. All-Star, I'll be honest, All-Star hasn't really resonated with me, but it's really popular. People like it, so it makes sense that they would re-release it. And I got the foil variants, so that's cool. Look at these. These are shiny. I love them. We also got a Jimmy Olsen comic that was very much aimed at younger readers, and I have it somewhere. But probably the coolest one is they re-released Action Comics #1, and they re-released it in the proper sizing. This is the original sizing it's supposed to be. Hold on. This is about the size of the re-releases that we get these days. It's been released a few times in somewhat recent years, but you can see the size difference here. It's the original comic was just huge. It was way bigger, and they re-released it in its accurate original sizing. But it wasn't just that. For the first time ever, as far as I can tell, we also got the blank artist variant, a foil variant. It's all cool, it's all shiny. And I think this is the first time we've ever had this in foil. And then, this is cool. We got a variant cover drawn by the fantastic and must be eternally busy Dan Mora, using David Cornsweet's Superman, using the movie Superman for the cover. And that is way cool. And they did lots of those. We've been getting all kinds of really cool comic book releases where we've gotten variant covers using the movie Superman as the cover, and that's cool. They've been putting them on all of the super-centric books, so Supergirl got one, World's Finest got one, Superman has one. These are cool covers, and it's cool that it's getting so much acknowledgement. We don't see this kind of thing with movie releases. We don't see this kind of synergy between the movie and the comics. And then generally speaking, they hyped up the excitement around the character. We got, special edition comics. We got these really, really cool Summer of Superman variant covers where all of the superheroes get a Superman-centric, dropping them all, where all of the characters get a really cool Superman-centric costume. And it's like, this is huge. This is an exciting time to be collecting Superman comics. And look, if you're brand new to comic books and you're just getting into them because of the movie, because I've been seeing a lot of people getting into the comics just because of the movie, this is a fun way to get into the collecting side of things. Definitely go pick up some great stories to read. I have a whole video about comic recommendations based off of elements of the movie. But if you're getting into collecting the single issue floppies, totally, look up the Summer of Superman variants or look up the movie variants, and that's a fun thing to collect. I think you'll enjoy it. That's my recommendation as far as comic book stuff. So let's go ahead and hop into that real quick. First off, let's talk about the original standard version of the movie that I saw in movie theaters. I got to see it a few days early. I, like lots of people, subscribed to Amazon Prime, and they had a bit of a extra bonus where if you were a Prime member, you could get tickets to go see the movie a little bit early. Like, I was just at work and I was on my phone and I was trying to figure it out. I set an alarm even because I knew when those tickets were going to open, and within like 5 minutes I was able to get it, but I got the last one. I get in the car and I finally make it to the theater, and I'm like minutes from the start time. I couldn't have timed it better. But then something weird happened with the projector. The movie started an hour late. I was sitting in the movie theater for an hour just waiting for this movie to start. I just sat there and watched the movie and was really, really happy and really thankful that I got to see it a few days early. Especially it was a big thing. I took the whole week off of work so that I could make sure I got lots and lots and lots of Superman content out online for you guys. Overall, the standard version of it was really cool and I really enjoyed it. It proved to me immediately that this was going to be a great movie. What can I say? As a fan of the character, as a longtime fan of the character, as someone who's cared about the Superman and the way that he's perceived in media for a very long time, this movie was everything that I needed it to be. It was so good. The action was spot on. The little character inflections that all of the actors put into their performances, they were perfect. They were spot on with everything. And I think that's one of the big things that I caught from this movie that I don't see a lot of people talking about, is that the actors had room to breathe and to grow and to inhabit their characters in a way that we haven't seen in a very long time. It's like James Gunn, he finally gets to make movies the way that he wanted to, which turns out is the old school way. You give the actors room to do their thing, you let the cameraman do his thing, you just let people do their jobs. And when you let people do their jobs, you come out with something that looks really unique, that feels really, really unique, and the actors get to give a performance that we wouldn't get to see otherwise. Come on, James Gunn, I know you like to do this kind of thing. Give us a short film later. Give us like a 30-minute Christmas special or Halloween special. Miracle Monday. Oh, that would be cool! Miracle Monday happens in May. There was a book that was based off of the Christopher Reeve movies, and it was like an extra story behind them, and there was this thing where Superman saved everybody, and nobody's sure what happened, but they knew it happened on Monday, so they called it Miracle Monday, and it's like an actual holiday that you can keep track of. It's in May. Do it! A Miracle Monday 30-minute special? That'd be... Oh, man! I can only imagine how the Superman fans would just go buck wild over that. That would be so cool. Wow. The second time I went to go see it was with the family. We checked out the movie in a 270-degree theater. This was so cool. They had the main movie happening on the screen in front of you, right? Like any other movie experience that you go to, but they expanded it. And so in your peripherals, you could see more movie being projected onto the wall. And it wasn't like they just stretched it out so that it fit onto the wall around you. They added more movie. That scene with Mr. Terrific and he's throwing all the T-spheres at all of the bad guys and Lois is underneath that shield bubble and watching all of it. And it was cool because like you could see the spheres coming in from your peripherals and they were still fighting some of the bad guys, and as the camera was panning around, it panned into the peripherals. So like the action was still happening. It was wild. That was way cool. I want all of my movies like that. I don't even know how you can make that happen in a home release without just having a whole theater room to yourself to be able to project it like that, because that was, oh my goodness, that was wild. That was the coolest thing I'd seen in a long time. I highly recommend that. If you can find a theater that's offering that as an option, 100% you go see every movie that way. That was... Typically after I see a movie, it takes maybe 1 to 2 days for me to really start to see the cracks in it and to form a real opinion. The fact that I'm praising it as much right now proves that, yeah, this is a great movie. And this was perfectly executed. There are 2 things, though, that really drove me nuts about it, and it's worth bringing up. The first thing is I didn't like the monkeys. When Lex revealed that all of the hate comments were being made by mind-controlled monkeys, I was like, that's silly. We were being somewhat grounded here. About as grounded as a movie about a guy who can fly and shoot fire out of his eyes can be, but the monkeys were a little much for me. I thought that immediately when I first saw it. I didn't like the monkeys. Now, the twist with Ultraman being a clone of Superman, that is... I didn't love that either. Both of these are really just minor gripes, but I think it's worth pointing out because it's... If you love something, you can see the flaws, and if you can see the flaws, then it proves that you're paying attention. Lex Luthor in the whole movie is set up as a tech guru. He has these armored guys that are wearing like the super high-tech armor. He develops, you can see it passively, phones, laptops, TVs, like that kind of thing. He makes weapons for the military, and even the engineer is built up of nanites that Lex Luthor developed as a technology. He's a tech guru. And then you bring in Ultraman, you say that he's a clone of Superman, and it's like, that's neat. I probably would have accepted it just a little bit better if Lex Luthor was built up to be a genetic engineer or geneticist guy as well. Like, we didn't really get any hint of that. But those are really it. If that's the only 2 gripes I have about this movie, then, you know, I think we did pretty darn good. I was like, you know what, I want to go see it in 3D, but I don't want to just see it in 3D. I want to see it in 3D with like the D-box seats, you know, it's like on hydraulics and it moves you around and it pans with the camera and it will like shake and yeah, I wanted to have like a full 4D experience here. I was excited for the 3D because I kept seeing interviews with different cast members and crew and James Gunn, and they all talked about how the 3D conversion is really, really cool and how for some of them it was their favorite way to watch the movie. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta see it. I gotta see it that way. And so that's what I did. The 3D conversion is spectacular. Oh my goodness, it's been a long time since I saw a movie that like utilized depth that well. Now, 3D is tricky because like from a cinematography standpoint, I've studied this kind of thing. When you start adding 3D to a movie, a 3D option, what ends up happening is you've got a whole other language that you've got to learn to speak. You see, when you're building a movie in flat images, basically, you're taking a lot of really nice photographs. And the best photographs you can take and get them to move, the better off you are. But when it comes to something like in 3D, you got to think about not just taking a really nice picture, you got to take really nice pictures that have some illusion of depth to them that you can then convert into 3D later. Now, this movie was already, cinematographically speaking, really, really cool. It did a lot of really neat things that we haven't seen superhero movies do in a long time. The flight scenes, they mentioned the flight scenes, they copied some of the philosophy of that from Top Gun Maverick specifically. And so they would get really wide angle lenses, which made things look like they were popping out a lot further at you. And that was cool. But because they did that natively, and because it worked really good in 2D natively, it made the 3D conversion really pop. But this movie, I would love to watch it in 3D again. So before it leaves theaters, I probably should get on that, huh? Merchandise! Where the real money of the movie is made. The real money then comes from people who love the movie so much that they had to go back to the store and they're like, I have to buy all of this stuff that has a Superman logo on it. And believe me, I know what that's like. I got really, really sucked into this. So to see this movie happen, and we got so much cool merchandise, it made me so happy. First of all, we have the t-shirt. Gotta have the t-shirt for the new movie. Todd McFarlane hit it out of the park with his action figures that he was doing. These are so cool. The action figures were the thing I was probably the most excited for when this movie was releasing. I am an action figure collector as well, and McFarlane has been one of my favorite action figure lines that I've seen in a long time, and I'm bummed that he's losing the license, but I'm glad he got to keep it long enough to do all the Superman stuff. The other interesting thing is he did a Superpowers version of this version of Superman. Now, Superpowers is an interesting toy line that you can see in box stores right now because it's based off of toys from the 70s and 80s that were based off of Super Friends. Like Super Friends was made to sell the Superpowers toy line. But when McFarlane picked it up, he revitalized the brand. He said, okay, we're doing Superpowers again. This will be fun. We're going to make them basically the same as we did then. And he did, but he started... Holy cow, this is cool. He started adding characters that didn't exist in the 70s and 80s, and he started doing versions of characters that didn't exist back then. So if you have old Superpowers action figures just lying around somewhere, you could get the new movie Superman and it would fit right in line with them. It's a full-on continuation, and it's kind of cool that this one exists. If there was a modern equivalent to the Superpowers line, it would probably be the Titans figures line. Listen, I have ripped the box entirely. I wasn't hoping to do that, but this is where we are. This is the version of the universe in which we live now. Alright, let's just get rid of the ties here. Be careful not to cut the cape. Alright, careful. Oh, I could be a surgeon. So here's the guy. I have another one up here. Let's compare it. Alright, so this is the Superman Unchained-ish version of the character that I picked up. I did a short on him a while back, and here is the movie version. They both feel kind of the same. That's kind of cheaper plastic. I mean, these are meant to be like the budget kids toys. They fit really good in hand though, and they look good. And you know what? I just gave my new favorite live action Superman the armor from my favorite Superman comic. I take it back, this is the best toy of the bunch. And if really big budget action figures aren't your thing, we have really small budget action figures. We also got the backpack. This is going to be really nice to come around convention season when I go to, probably, FanX is probably going to be the next one. But look at that, that is cool. But it got the full array of just stuff. Superman the backpack, you got Superman the t-shirt, you got Superman the other t-shirt, you got Superman the hoodie, you got Superman the flamethrower, I don't know. But it was all there. And it's just so fun to see my favorite hero get this kind of attention. Now the fourth time. One of the big advertising points of this movie was that it was filmed in IMAX, and they were very, very proud of their IMAX shooting, and that's cool. That meant I really wanted and had to see this movie in IMAX. So I got together with my friends, said, hey, you guys are next to an IMAX theater. I want to see it in IMAX. I'm going to go see it in IMAX. If you would like to come, you can come. And they did. And we all got to sit down and we got to watch it in IMAX. There were some really noisy people sitting next to us. This is just something I've noticed with movies, is that the kind of the sanctity of a movie theater lessens more and more as the movie gets older. people start misbehaving a little bit more. And while I had a ton of fun in something like the Minecraft movie with all of the wacky shenanigans that people were doing there, and it was a crazy, awesome, super fun theater experience, I hate to think that kind of gave people the permission to just not work very well within a movie theater. That manners just kind of start going out the door. And there was this group of people, giving them the benefit of the doubt, they were just really excited to be watching it. It was clear that one of them had seen it before and was showing it to others, similar to, I guess, what I was doing at the time. But he kept talking, and some of the things he was saying were just kind of out there, and it's just like, what are you doing? And then the first 20 minutes of it were kind of like that. It was a little bit distracting. I wasn't sitting next to him. One of my friends was, and she was having a real rough time with that. She asked them politely to stop, and they did. And then we got to experience the rest of the movie. And I mean, what is there to say about IMAX? It gets a lot of praise for being really cool, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just a really big screen. And when you compare that against the other experiences that I had, I mean, it's better than seeing it in standard, because it's really fun to see it on the really big screen, but it is just a really big screen. That's all that's kind of special about it these days. But you know what? The quality of the movie really didn't drop with each time that I saw this. I thought it just continued to really work for me. You know, speaking of merchandise, we have to talk about like the really cool new merchandise that everyone gets excited about, the theater stuff. So instead of just going for a couple of buckets, like one per franchise that I've noticed that movies in the past did, Superman got a lot of different stuff. The way that the Superman went was it kind of gave us a lot of like dioramas of stuff that isn't explicitly in the movie, but kind of does impact the world a little bit. I think one of my favorite things here is this cup. You know, it's the Fortress of Solitude. It lights up and it shines through your drink and it's all crystally and stuff. And it doesn't fit in any cup holder that I've experienced. But then we got like 3 or 4 like basic popcorn buckets that normally wouldn't be anything to talk about. This is kind of representative of what we got. You know, it's usually just still PNGs from the movie put onto the bucket. This one I got because it also had the illustrated comic book form of the actors and the dog. So that was pretty cool. I think the coolest part about this though is the interior printing. You can see that right there. The inside of the bucket has like comic book covers pasted all over it, and it's really, really cool to see, and I kind of love it. Yeah, this is a cool bucket. Now, as far as like a basic bucket goes, this is the coolest I think we've seen from just, you know, the basic metal tin. The one I was really excited for because, I don't know, I guess I'm just a simple man trying to make his way in the universe. I just really liked the costume one. You know, it's just a plastic bucket that has 3D embossed details on it. Like, it's really nicely textured. It has a lid. It has some stale popcorn still inside. And then we got this. This is cool. We got like this little diorama of like Superman heat visioning this little bucket here and popping the popcorn. The idea is that if you open it up and look inside and then grab the popcorn is whatever Superman popped from the bucket, and that's kind of neat. Though it just kind of exists here now, and it's like it doesn't fit perfectly in a shelf, and I've been trying to figure out what to do with it. This one is probably the one I just have the least idea about. Though I was told by family and by some people on the internet that they've been using it to store action figures. And my mom had the idea, like, you could get like a really tiny Lex Luthor action figure and put him inside the bucket so it looks like Superman is heating up the bucket that Lex Luthor is in, and it's like, you know what, that's kind of fun. I don't have a tiny Lex Luthor that will fit that, but as you just saw, I have plenty of other action figures and toys that could fit inside this tin, and they would still be, you know, viewable because it's clear. If I were to rank the 4 ways that I saw this movie, it would easily go like this. The best one by far and away was seeing it in 270. I loved that so much. Oh my goodness. I had to travel a ways to get to that theater to see it in 270, but oh man. That changed my whole worldview when it comes to movies. That was incredible. Anyway, 270 degree, best way to watch the movie. Best way to watch any movie now, that as far as I'm concerned. And then the second one was I love the 3D conversion. Like I said, I would love to see the 3D version get a home release. I would watch it in 3D. I would watch the heck out of it in 3D. It would be a lot of fun. Except I can't watch the heck out of it in 3D. I don't have a 3D TV, and that's the big bummer. It's a pretty high cost for admission if you want to watch it at home in 3D. So all of you out there in the world, if you can still get 3D tickets to Superman, go get 3D tickets to Superman. If you've watched it once already, watch it again, because unfortunately as soon as it stops going in theaters, you're probably not going to get to see it again that way. You know, there could be a whole discussion here about media preservation and how much that actually means and to like what extent media preservation needs to happen. And then IMAX, like I've already said, IMAX is just a really, really big screen at the end of the day. And then fourth, of course, is just watching it in standard. But man, is this movie worth seeing? I am so happy to say that it is. It completely changes everything about this character. It changes everything about the way that people see this character. And I couldn't be more pleased. I'm very excited for it. I'm excited to see what comes next. The conversation used to be, Superman is really lame, he's boring, he's uninteresting, and he's only cool when he's the bad guy. And because that was the popular conversation going around, you had the Injustice game that was insanely successful. You had Injustice 2 that is insanely successful still in a lot of ways. I still find myself playing the mobile game. Which, by the way, did you see that they put this movie's Superman, they put David Cornswood Superman in Injustice 2 on mobile? That's nuts. That's crazy. But you had the Injustice games going on, and then Man of Steel portrayed kind of like I could see the theme they were going for. It was like, this is a symbol of hope in a world that has none. Okay, that's neat. Even Clark Kent in this movie really didn't have hope at all in anything until near the end, and I get what they were going for. But it made the movie feel really dark and really kind of sad and kind of broken a little bit. And then you have this game, and Superman is the main big bad boss antagonist of this game. Yeah, he's mind controlled, but like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because that's the only flavor of Superman we've been getting for years. You know, I got this game, I still have not played it. It's just on the shelf. Wasting space. Making me think about how I bought it. I bought it used. Nonetheless. But then, all of a sudden, and I knew this was going to happen, I said that the biggest thing that could happen is if a really good Superman movie released, everyone would forget all about bad Superman. Everyone would forget all about the conversations of Superman is lame and boring and generic. And it happened. He's no longer lame, boring, and generic. He's punk rock. Like, they said, oh, seeing the beauty in others is the real punk rock, and that's Superman. Superman is punk rock now. They even gave him a song. And it is so crazy to me to see that now, finally, after so long, people are seeing this character the way that I've always seen him, the way that so many fans have always seen him. It's like, if you gave this character a chance, you would see just what he actually means to people. There's a reason why he's been so popular for so long. It's because this kind of hopefulness, this kind of doing the right thing because people need someone to do the right thing, that resonates. And it feels good to see, and we love it. It feels so good to be able to say that I'm a fan of Superman, and I don't have to justify it anymore. I've always had to justify it, now I don't. And that's just so fun. It's fun to have everyone join the party. Welcome to the party.